Here, South African knife guy, and I am here to do another discussion video. Um, so basically, in the world of knives or high-end knives, there are certain knives that you see the knife and you know who made it and what it's, who made it, and basically it creates the face for that company. And that's what we call iconic knives. And here I've got a few iconic knives on for the American lineup. This is the Spyderco Swiss Bowie, very quickly. Nick Shabazz has done like 3 videos on this knife. It's now discontinued, but it's never too far from people's thoughts that people still think about this knife. Quite often, so often in fact that they've re-released it. A company called Knife Joy re-released it, not in its original stonewash configuration, but in sort of this blue color, sort of faded blue color, which is really kind of nice. So this knife, pretty much seems to be coming back, every once in a while because people miss it so much, and it's pretty much become the face of Spyderco. And I don't think the thoughts on this knife is ever going to go away because it really was revolutionary. The second knife, of course, is the 0562, which is probably the face for the concept of any knife. I mean, this has become knife now, even though ZT is the one that put it out. This knife is so popular that it has been in the original ZT lineup since 2012 when ZT came out, and it hasn't gone away. This is the second version of this knife in titanium, in the stonewashed titanium gray color. The original was with carbon fiber, black carbon fiber slab on one side and then titanium on the other. And it's just never gone away. This is like the most popular knife in the ZT lineup. I don't believe it's ever going to go away. It's become an icon in the ZT lineup. And then the final knife is sort of put in the same category as this knife here, where it became the face for the company for a little while and then they discontinued it. And this one's the Benchmade Anthem. People always talk about this knife. It's just an iconic piece. It's an integral knife, meaning it's not like this knife where there's like 2 slabs of titanium between the blade. And this one, it's just one whole piece of titanium that makes up the whole knife. So that's why it's quite iconic. That plus the coil spring and access lock working together to create this incredibly smoothness. I'm really kind of sorry that they discontinued this blade. It's probably my favorite. It is my favorite Benchmade knife ever made, by the way. I don't think there's ever going to be anything like it. So it's just a fantastic knife. So that's another iconic knife for Benchmade. You see this knife, a lot of people know what it is and how it's made, and they've heard all about it. There's quite a few videos on this knife. It's become an icon. Now, the final knife on my table, real quickly, before I bring out my South African versions of this, because that's what this video is all about, is the Sebenza 21. Now, this is the Sebenza Large 21. This knife is probably one of the most sought-after knives in the world. So sought after that if you go to the Chris Reeve website, the Chris Reeve Large Sebenza 21, if you go to the Chris Reeve website to order the knife, you've got a holding time of 4 years. That's how important this knife is to the knife world. People are willing to wait 4 years to get one of these. So, well, actually, the Sebenza 31 is what it is now. It was back during this time, it was the Sebenza 21 with the 2 inlay. Now it's the Sebenza 31 with one whole slab carbon fiber inlay covering the entire face of the knife. So these are just some iconic knives that people know. And when you say high-end knives, more than likely, at least 2 of the knives on this table will be mentioned by somebody. And now I'm going to put all these knives away, and I'm going to show you the South African counterpart knives. I'm going to pull them out one by one, and I'm going to leave each knife on the table as I talk about it really quick. So My channel, as you guys know, is dedicated to South African knife making because I really believe that these guys pretty much have popularized custom knife making to the point where they're just way ahead of everybody as far as aesthetics, as far as action. Aesthetics and action and cutting ability. I just think that South Africa nailed it. They've been around for so long, and there's so many South African knife makers out there. There are so many knives to choose from. A lot of us are probably wondering, well, you know, how do you know even where to begin? And to be honest with you, you don't. But this video might help in case you guys are thinking about getting a South African knife, knowing that there's so many South African knives out there. What do I get? So let's go ahead and get started. This one here is this is an iconic knife made by Willem Steenkamp. Now this knife is basically the face of his knife making craft, is what this knife's become. This is called the Willem Steenkamp Hornet. The attraction to this knife is that it's a really beautiful medium-sized knife. The ergonomics are fantastic on it. You know, like most knives are, the ergonomics, he's really nailed it. But, excuse me, one of the things that Willem Steenkamp is known for is simplicity in design, right? He makes a knife, this knife here called the Hornet. He only uses one major material, and in this case, it was marble carbon fiber. But what we're looking at here is the design of the knife, the way it fits in your hand, the ergonomics. They're just really beautiful. So you can pretty much picture this shape of knife with any handle scale on it, and it's just going to be a beautiful knife overall. The size is really good. It's not too far off from maybe an American design knife that you can think of. Very well made, high quality, all made by hand. There are no machines used in the making of this knife. And when people order a knife from Willem Steenkamp, 90% of the time they're going to order a Hornet. It's just a knife that pretty much made his name as a really well-crafted knife maker. So if you're thinking about getting a South African knife, this may be one for you. Now keep in mind prices on these knives. I'm not going to mention prices, but none of the knives that I'm going to pull out now are under $600. I'll just say that much. So this is the first one, the Willem Steenkamp Hornet. Definitely for your consideration. The second one I'm going to pull out, oddly enough, the guy's got the same name because it's his brother, Cosi Steenkamp. Now, obviously being brothers, that you probably would think that they would make similar knives, but it makes sense to me that their knife designs have to reflect their individuality as knife makers and knife artists. Now, as you guys notice, Willem Steenkamp only uses one material, carbon fiber. But the way he does it, right, it's so freaking brilliant that you don't care that he's only using one material. Look how the marble carbon fiber on this thing just shimmers. It's shimmering in the sun. Just an absolute gorgeous looking knife with just the one material, marble carbon fiber. And he does it so well. The design is so super clean, you know, so it draws your attention to how, you know, to not just the aesthetic, but you're drawn to all aspects of the knife. Now, with his brother Cosi Steenkamp, you pretty much get the same effect, but he does it with two materials, bolster and handle. So you get two aesthetics on this knife, but the action and the fit finish and the quality of the knife is no different than his brother. They are exactly the same on that note. You're just getting a different flavor with Cosi Steenkamp than you are with Willem Steenkamp. So this is the Cosi Steenkamp Samsung front flipper. That's another thing too, is Willem Steenkamp doesn't do front flippers all that often, but Cosi Steenkamp, he adds that as an option in this lineup, which is kind of nice. So And he really knows how to put the knife together really well aesthetically, knowing how to put together the material so that it's just an absolutely beautiful knife. Yeah, the Samsung front flipper, nice and smooth. The action is really great, just fantastic. So that would be the second one for your consideration. What makes both these knives so popular, again, is that they're not too far off from the norm, and they're high-end quality knives. You will not be disappointed by the fit, the finish, or the quality on either one of these two. The third knife I'm going to put out is sort of an odd looking one, but it's so popular just because it's odd. And the fit, finish, and quality, again, is no different than these two. This is the John Arnold Mufata, and this is another iconic knife in South Africa. A lot of people do love this knife, mostly for the way that it looks. But that just because the knife looks weird doesn't mean that it's not functional. In this case, the aesthetic really stands out. However, the fit, the finish, the quality is just as strong as these two knives. You're just getting the concept of a knife in a completely different configuration. It's wide. It's a wide knife, and Mufata, which is the name of this knife, is called Fat Man. So he's brought in a little bit more of art into the knife just by the way the knife looks. Whereas you have these two guys creating fantastic fit, finish, and quality, doing it their way with minimal aesthetics, but yet the fit, finish, and quality are top notch. We have John Arnold doing the same thing, but he adds something special to it. He says, well, let me change the shape of the knife. Now, you're probably thinking, well, you know, if you change the shape of the knife, maybe the ergonomics are off. I got to be honest with you, they're not to me. I mean, I think that this knife is fantastic. It feels really good in my hand to hold it. There are no hot spots on this. The pocket clip fits into the small part of my hand, so it's not digging into bone or anything. It just hits it at the right spot that I could feel myself using this knife in hard tasks all day long. So he's actually done that with this shape. I think you could probably say, though, that you wouldn't want to stray so far off from the norm that no one wants to actually use the knife. And I think John Arnold with his Mufata knife has actually hit it on the money. So we got the fourth knife, and that's called the John Arnold Mufata. The fourth knife I'm going to bring out is actually my very first South African custom. This one is the Andre Thorburn L38 flipper. It's a big flipper, front flipper. He's very well known for this knife. He's also very well known for making beautiful front flippers. He's basically used the knife as a more so as an aesthetic canvas without losing any of the qualities of the knife, fit, finish, or quality on it. And if you want to look at it, he's basically done almost the same thing as John Arnold has done, but he's gone in an opposite direction. Instead of making the knife really wide, let's go ahead and narrow it down. And even that works really well. And, you know, when people ask for a knife by Andre Thorburn and they want a big knife, I'm going to honestly tell you at least 88% of the time to 90% of the time they're going to ask for this model. It's a big knife. It's a large knife. The ergonomics are beautiful. There's a lot of real estate on this knife for you to put, you know, a nice aesthetic, for you to choose your materials to make the handle, to make the bolsters. People just love the way it looks. And it's a knife that could be used for heavy-duty tasks, almost as much as, like, say, a ZT. You know, your regular 0562 ZT. You know, you could substitute this as the South African version of this knife. You know, but obviously with a little bit more flair, a little bit more, you know, a little bit more artwork, because when you're getting a custom knife, obviously you're getting more than a knife. you're literally getting art in your pocket. So it's got something to think about. So that's the Andre Thorburn 38 liner lock flipper. A lot of people love that knife. My buddy James has got one as well. You can check him out on Instagram. Check out his knives. He's got one of these in brilliant, I believe he's got it in brilliant marble carbon fiber like this knife. Really beautiful. So there you have it for Andre Thorburn. The next knife I'm going to bring out, which is an iconic knife and probably one of my all-time favorites, is the Clyde Challenor Viper. Now, this knife here, to be fair, Clyde Challenor never had a large plethora of knives that you could choose from. However, I will say this: he doesn't have a large pool of knives that you could. In fact, he's only got this one right now. But he used to have in his lineup a Talon. He used to have a knife called the Talon. He used to have a knife called the Raptor. He had quite a bunch of other knives, and he still makes liner locks by request. However, at this point in time, he only has this knife, but what a knife it is. This knife, it could literally also be known as an iconic knife in South Africa. A lot of people, I bet, in South Africa carry one of these in their pockets, and as soon as they see the knife, they know, oh, that's Clyde Challenor. Clyde Challenor is very, very, I'm going to say he's very, very underrated. But it's sort of a catch-22 because he's also, for people that own his knife, they know that he's also very well known for, I'm going to say it bluntly, perfect fit, finish, and quality. Perfect fit, finish, and quality. And his claim to fame is that he has educated himself as a knife maker in understanding that fit, finish, and quality always come first, and he's done that by melding CNC machine with made by hand detail. Now he's gotten a lot of slack over that, from, I guess I'm going to say, from the general community overall. I'm not going to name anybody, but normally in the in general, he's just gotten a lot of flack. Why can't you make a knife by hand? And his reasoning is, and he's absolutely correct, is that you're not going to get, it's impossible to get as close, tight tolerances as you can without using CNC machining. So, all the parts of the knife are made by machine, but then when he does the detail work, it's all perfect. So you get a perfect fit and finish piece. This again, the Clyde Challenor Viper. If you notice, the action on this is not too stiff, and it's not too stiff, and it's not too loose. It's just perfect. He's got it tuned perfect. Secondly, because he does all of the basic machining, carving of the handles out by machine, he can now take that extra time and just get the knife as perfect and smooth as he can by hand before giving it to you as a customer. And for that, he deserves major applause. Major applause. And he stands by his work no matter what. And the Viper is now the knife that people go to, even though it's only the only knife that he's got in his lineup. Keep in mind, by 2024 Blade Show, he's going to have a new knife called the Warthog, and that one's going to be a new innovative piece. I have no doubt that knife's going to be as popular as the Viper. So this is a very iconic knife in South Africa. Definitely one you need to consider out of the vast array of South African knives that they have out there. You're definitely going to want to consider getting a Clyde Challenor, if not at least one of these four. In other words, to take a look at. This is what this video is all about. Well, there's so many South African knives out there. How do I know what to choose? How do I know what to get? I'm telling you, these knives on the table and the other two that I'll be bringing out will not disappoint you. I mean, aesthetically, they look just like American knives, maybe with the exception of this one. But even this one will whet your appetite as a knife collector if you're looking to get a South African knife to add to your collection. It just so happens that I actually decided to go with all South African knives. That's how much South African knife making has inspired me and inspired my collection. I decided to collect strictly only South African knives. It's what I believe, it's what I support, and it's what I love. So let's move on to the next knife. So this knife, the next iconic knife, isn't really an iconic knife in South Africa as much as the makers who make the lineup of knives from this knife that I'm going to show you. That's what makes this one so popular. What I'm saying is that the knife that I'm going to bring out is actually only one of so many of the knives they make. So what I'm saying is that if you choose one of these knives that if you choose this knife that I'm gonna bring out, any one of the models that they have will satisfy and whet your appetite as a knife collector. This is my favorite, however. This is the A square. Let's remember that. A square, because a lot of people get it wrong. They think it's A2 because if you look, there's the A and there's the 2, but there's a square around it. People leave out the square. So whenever they mention this knife company, they call, oh, that's A2 Knives. It's not. It's A Square Knives. A square for, the mathematical symbol. So basically it just stands for 2 people or 2 times. And the 2 people that make this knife are Andre Van Heerden, who takes the lead on this, on the A Square project set of knives. Andre Van Heerden, he takes the lead, and Andre Thorburn. So those 2 guys got together and decided to team up and make a line of knives. Now, this is the A11. I don't know how many, because there's basically there's 11 of these knives, all different shapes, all different sizes, with your choice of materials to put on it. So basically what I'm saying is that out of all 11 of the knives, any one of them would whet your appetite, but this one's my favorite one out of the entire lineup. And I've got 3 of the A Square knives. But I choose this one because it's my favorite. But you choose any one of these knives and it would be your favorite. So their design is, the way this knife is put together, we have Andre Van Heerden, who designed the knife. He does the blade grinding and some other details on the knife, and then when he's done, he hands it off to Andre Thorburn, who does all the finishing touches on it. And then once he's done that, I believe it goes back to Andre Van Heerden for final inspection, and then you got yourself a perfect fit finish quality knife made by 2 guys, A Square Knives. So any one of these would make you would definitely be something to add to your lineup if you're thinking about getting a South African knife. That being said, if you decide to not go with one of the ones on this table, you won't be disappointed if you go with an A Square knife, any one model that they make. It doesn't make a difference. They're all awesome. They just keep going and going and going. The action is beautiful. Like all the other knives that I didn't show on my table, centering is always dead on all these knives. They really give it a good go over before it goes off to the customer. Their use of materials. That's one thing. You're not going to get an A Square knife in this configuration with your choice of bolster and handle. You're just not. In fact, I don't believe you can get an A2 knife made. Yeah, you can't get an A Square knife made to order. Basically, they just pump these out, and then you get to choose whatever they actually have for that month or whatever's out there. At least, I'm going to say at least 60% of the time, any one of the A Square knives you pick up as your choice would wind up as a one-of-a-kind handmade. It's just the way that those guys roll. So they're kind of like a mini company, a mini knife company together. Because, you can't really order an A Square knife made to order because it's made by 2 people. So I got one final knife, and I hate to say this, but I'm going to say that this knife here that I'm going to bring out is the best of the ones that are here on the table. And this is just my own opinion that I'm telling you when I bring out this next knife. Just because I love it so much and the way that it was put together. And it's sort of like a mystery. It's like this knife can pretty much encompasses the magic of knife making, and I don't think I'm ever going to understand how or why. The knife that I'm going to bring out is the Des Hoorn Mvubu. This is just probably the ultimate South African knife. I'm sorry. I mean, I love the ones that are here on the table, but if you were to ask me, hey Omar, which one of the ones on the table would you choose? Excuse me, guys, I'm going to tell you, it's going to be this one, and I'm going to tell you why very quickly. All the knives here on the table, okay, they all run on ball bearings, okay? All ball bearing knives, or ceramic ball bearings. In this case, we got a ball bearing knife. I'll do this real quickly. We got another ball bearing knife, right? The action, nice and smooth. Okay, smooth, right? And then ceramic, oh no, actually, yeah. Take a look, yeah, another ball bearing knife, nice and smooth. This one doesn't run on ceramic ball bearings. Yeah, it's not ceramic, I don't think. No, this is regular ball bearings. But, you know, you can see it's beautiful, falls shut. Unlike those, they're all with ball bearings on them. Okay, all these knives here, up to this knife. This one only runs on washers. That's one of the main things that got me with this piece, was that it only runs on washers. And it is just as smooth. See that? Almost just as smooth as a ball bearing knife. And yet the action is just as smooth. On washers, I've owned tons of washer knives, both American and South African. I've never experienced it quite this smooth. And I think everybody that owns this knife, they've all said the same thing. How does he do it? And he just says, well, it's just really good, tight-fitting washers. There's no special secret. But yet, I mean, the knife is perfectly centered. The action is amazing. There's no blade play on it. It's a beautiful, big knife. The steel on it, I wish I had a piece of paper. I don't. I'm sorry. Nitrobe 77. He decided to go, unlike most of these knives, which are made with, yeah, all the knives on this table are made with M390. Des Hoorn has decided to go with Nitrobe 77. Now, Nitrobe 77 isn't a steel, you know, that's thought of, because these knives here made with M390, M390 is just basically a high-end safe choice cutting tool steel, and that's why a lot of knife makers use it. However, Des Hoorn has decided to go with Nitrobe 77. Now, a lot of knife makers, even in South Africa, guys, a lot of knife makers won't use that steel because it's a real pain in the ass to treat. It goes through a rigorous heat treatment process to get the steel perfect, and then it gets quenched in liquid nitrogen 4 times just to get it as sharp as you can get it. Man, I'm looking for some paper or something to show you. Man, I don't have any. But you can check out my channel on this knife, and you can see that you'll see how sharp it is. In fact, this is one of the few knives that I'm afraid to put my finger anywhere near the blade because it will slice it. It will definitely slice the living hell out of it. It's just a super, super sharp steel, but it takes a lot of work to get the knife that way. The aesthetics on the knife, just one. You know, he can do it with, you know, in this style where you have like a bolster and a handle. But for the most part, he'll do just one material. But these you can get made to order, and actually, I'm going to get a 3rd one of these. I've got 2 of these right now, and you can check out the other one on my channel. But I've got 2 of these Mvubus. I'm going to get a 3rd. That's how much this knife is, how much I love this knife. And that one's going to be on washers also. The other one that I have runs on ceramic ball bearings, and I love that one, but not as much as I love the one that just runs on washers. That's nuts. That's just absolutely nuts. He's got beautiful carbon fiber on the back with the hand file work on there, and the carbon fiber back spacer, and the really beautiful blue titanium pocket clip. What's interesting about Des Horn and pocket clips is he doesn't believe in pocket clips. This is the only knife that he has in his lineup that comes with a pocket clip. Actually, that's not true. He also does the flip VuBu with a pocket clip, but pocket clips are not something that he does. That's his favorite. So he doesn't put that on any knife. What he does is he includes a slip with his knives. That's another thing you're going to want to consider. A lot of these knife makers here on the table, and this is why you love custom knife making, you're going to have to put up with a lot of the quirks that a lot of these knife makers have. It doesn't matter whether they're South African or French or English or Dutch or whatever kind of a knife maker they are. They're all going to have a special quirk that sets them aside from their friends or from other knives. It could be something major, as much as, like, say, maybe a pocket clip, or it could be something with the way that their action is. Whatever it might be, when you buy that knife, you're buying that aspect of them as well. And in this case, it's the fact that you may not have a pocket clip on your knife with Des Horn, but everything else is just beautiful. Beautiful. We're all looking for, like, individuality when we carry around things in our pockets, and custom knife making offers that to you. So why not indulge in whatever the knife maker believes in as well? And in this case, yeah, for Des Horn, it's a no pocket clip. So this is my all-time favorite South African knife. I don't mind saying that because Des Horn is pretty much the father of knife making. Him and a guy named Owen Wood, both those guys are almost like two sides of the same coin when they make their knives. The Des Horn and VuBu is more than likely the basic of his work. If you go to his Instagram page, you're going to see some overly elegant knives that you cannot afford, but they look beautiful. So what I'm saying is that this knife here is probably one of the few knives in his lineup that you could probably afford. And this knife doesn't even touch even the skill of his talent. The beginning tip of what this man does with knife making. He's just been around for years and years and years and years, and every one of the knife makers you see on this table was influenced by this guy, Des Horn. And that's why I love this knife so much. He is definitely one of my all-time favorite knife makers in South Africa. This knife is just as iconic. In fact, you would probably call this knife, in my opinion, you probably call this knife the 0562 of South Africa. All right, this knife here, the 0562 of South Africa. So, yeah. I mean, this knife is smooth, right, on ball bearings. Right? But this one is just as smooth on washers, guys. Crazy. So that's it for this video. Iconic knives from South Africa. If you're looking to venture off in South African knives and you're looking to find out what can I get, what can I start with, or I would like to add a South African knife to my collection, check out this video. You choose any one of the knives on this table, and if you get this one, by the way, this one is not that expensive. Well, yeah, I mean, you have to get started before I can even talk about pricing, because all the knives on this table, none of these are under 600. So the least amount of money you're going to spend for any knife on this table is 600 and above is what's on this table. I'll at least say that. So if 600 and above is okay with you, and you're looking to step up your game from the world of production knives, and there's nothing wrong with that. Because I love production knives. I haven't stopped collecting them. I said that I've stopped collecting them, but actually I haven't. I'm still doing it, unfortunately. Because, everybody likes to have a good American knife every once in a while, so I get one every once in a while, and you know, you'll see that on my channel. But yeah, if you're looking to step up your game and you're tired of you know, your production knife after production knife, and you want to see something different, you want to feel something different, and you're looking to step up your game, you can consider any one of the knives on this table as your knife of choice. In my opinion, I think all these iconic knives will fit your need just as well. But don't listen to what I have to say. Just head on out there and choose wisely. I'm just giving you a smaller pool of knives to choose from, so that you don't have to worry about choosing wisely. You know what I mean? You don't have to do Indiana Jones 3 where he, you know, that scene where he goes in and he has to choose one of the drinking cups to choose. I'm telling you, you choose any one of these and you drink from anything on this table, you'll be happy. So there you have it. South African knives, iconic knives from South Africa. I'm just slimming down the pool for you guys, so you guys have something to draw from, because there's like, you go on Instagram and like me, and there's like tons and tons and tons of South African knives, tons of knives out there from South Africa. They're all good, we love all of them, but can we make the pool a little smaller? Yeah, we can. Omar's done it for you. Omar, the South African knife guy's done it for you. But again, you know, this is just something for you to think about. If you're in a hurry and you don't want to run through, you know, tons and tons of Instagram reels, watch this video, pick a knife, you'll be happy. This is Omar, your South African knife guy. I keep saying Edge of South Africa. I'm going to stop doing that. Your South African knife guy. That's the name of my new channel. And I'm going to be moving forward. Also moving forward, I will be doing a quick short for each video that's coming up, so at least you'll know what's going to be on my channel next. And if you don't hear from me for a while, it's because I'm not inspired to do a video. It happens, or I can't think of a topic, because there's no way I could buy like a brand new knife every freaking week just to satisfy and whet you guys' appetites for, you know, knife videos. This is Omar, your South African knife guy, signing off. Thank you so much for watching, and you guys have a fantastic and beautiful Saturday morning. I know I'm going to have one. I'm going to chill, so you guys go ahead and chill. And maybe today you'll pick out one of these knives, or you'll contact one of these guys on Instagram and say, hey, Omar recommended me to you. Make me a knife, and he'll build. And by the way, all the guys on the table, super nice, super nice. They will contact you. They stay in touch with you. They're all great guys. But I don't want to be biased, because this guy here is actually a friend of mine, Clyde Challenor. So yeah, if you want to go for Clyde, go for Clyde. I'm sure he could use the business. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have a fantastic evening. Don't forget my newly named channel, South African Knife Guy. That's me. Thanks so much for watching, and you guys have a